Well, hello everyone. As I understand it, everyone wants $15, or rather $15,000 a week with the help of an artificial intelligence agent to whom you just dictate like this, speaking into your phone. I'll even show you, yes, just like this. Hello, so urgently go to Polymarket or somewhere else, it doesn't matter at all, and make me some money, not even 15,000, as much as you want. Earn more than I spent on your creation and on maintaining your functionality. I wanted the same thing. Probably since February 6th or 7th, I have been digging into this topic. So we've already tried a lot of different things. In this video, I'm going to share what actually works. We've tried installing OPENCLAW on various devices, on Mac, on VPS, in different configurations with different models, and in automatic mode with OpenRouter. We compared several different models. In short, we'll share everything. We'll tell you where and how we tested, why we decided to do this in the first place, and what our idea was. So if you're interested in this, and I think since you're watching this video, you've probably already watched a ton of other stuff, so you must be interested. Let's quickly figure it out now. I don't think the video will take more than 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll try to quickly and clearly explain what we managed to find out in 2 weeks, what conclusions we came to, and how realistic it actually is to make any money at all, and if it's possible, what risks there are. In general, I won't be talking about the installation process here because honestly, it's not that difficult. There are tons of tutorials and it literally takes 6 to 10 minutes. You can set everything up very quickly. The pitfalls and everything else are in the details. That is what to enable, what to disable, which settings are necessary and which aren't. We'll go through and break that down right now. Later, if you want, leave a comment. We can even invite a top specialist who has been working with all these AI agents for over a year, even before all this became a trend. So let's figure it out. Let's get straight to the point. Well, you know this site, right? OPENCLAW. And in general, all the sites I mentioned will be listed below in the description. First of all, who came up with it? This guy, Peter Steinberg or Steinberg. I'll probably even leave a link. I'll post a link to this interview. It's available in Russian, or rather YouTube automatically translated it. I recommend watching it in general. It already has 250,000 views. He went to Peter Yang and told him how he came up with this idea, how they interacted, and how he was matched up. At some point, he was somewhere without internet, dictated something over WhatsApp, and Peter did a great job. He recognized everything and made it happen. And indeed, yes, you can do it this way if you install it in the current configuration, in the latest version. For example, when I first set it up within the configuration settings on my Mac, and really, once you successfully connect your own OpenAI API keys, it simply works right out of the box. You can easily dictate text to it, even when you are using the Telegram app. So it transcribes. It might lag a little the first time, but then it works fine, and you can communicate with it using voice messages. This continues to work if you go to YouTube or any other platform, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, anything you want, really. If you start digging around, you'll see a ton of stuff. Open cloaca in the swamps. It has been renamed many times there. You'll see a bunch of different videos there, like how I make money and so on. On Twitter, things are just totally wild. Yeah, all of that, all of it. So look, they leaked a new version on the 5-minute and 15-minute charts on Polymarket. So the Clawbot is raking in the cash. Look, it does everything right there. And before Clawbot, he had a turnover of 242,000, zero income, and a loss of 242,000. But now his turnover is like this. His income is huge and his losses are zero. Well, of course, all of this is just clickbait. Everyone says whatever they want, and they're either selling some kind of course or some other nonsense. They'll try to sell you something, yes, so it all ends up with someone making a video about Clawbot one way or another. I'm not going to sell anything here. So I'm just a user like you, someone who's looking for ROI, interested in how to use this, and wondering what will happen if I pay for a subscription, say $200 or even $500. Will it all be worth it for me? Will I be able to solve all my tasks? And will it be this super tool that can replace my whole team, my accountant, and my copywriters? So a copywriter, a designer, and a programmer, and it will make websites and send reminders and do everything. Just imagine, whatever you put in there, it handles it all, and it's so impressive. Or, you'll save money on this, fire everyone, and just pay $500 for this device. Or, I could really go to Polymarket, to Binance, or some other exchanges, look for inefficiencies, and it will trade and earn money for me. Some money, that's basically what everyone probably wants. I want that too, and I still do, and we're actually running tests there. But where should you start, and what have we actually done? And where are the pitfalls? Where does money get lost? And we lost money there too. So what did we change? So the simplest way to compare models with each other absolutely for free is the website openrouter.ai. Basically, you can use it. There are a lot of different ones there. It has a unified API, and it runs many different models through itself. And I'll tell you, it's used by enterprises, including Lavaball. A lot of different projects also work with it, and these models are used under the hood, so to speak. So they constantly publish here which new models they have, and you can compare them with each other. For example, you go to the models section here, and you can see what's available. Right now, one of the most powerful and popular is 𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗏 46, and it's kind of like many people also use it with this bot because by default, everything is set up on Cloud Code. And it's kind of like, and you can see that indeed it has 1 million tokens in context. The more context tokens there are, the more you can fit in there, so to speak. But there are some nuances. For example, these models like 𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗏 46 are expensive. If you look here, 1 million tokens, right? So it costs $3 per million input tokens, $15 per million output tokens, and $10 for 1,000 in search. Well, $10 per 1,000. Then, as you can see, there are 3 providers: Amazon, Google. There's also Tropic, of course. And here you can see what their latencies are, and then they provide some figures, but these are just average numbers. And here you can also see how many tokens can be processed per second. That's the speed of response, so to speak, the rate of feedback if you need to do something very quickly, for example. For example, if you want to arbitrage those 5-minute candles, you need to look for where there's a lot of throughput, where a fast model is available. That's a separate topic. When you enter any model, you can click the compare button and compare them. Let's say everyone is talking about 𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗏 and you have a subscription. There are also some nuances with the subscription. You can pay $200, log in as if you are logging into it. But apparently Cloud penalizes this a bit, even bans accounts. In other words, it doesn't allow for this kind of use. Your account could get blocked. Moving on. A new model has appeared, 𝗗𝗦 3.5 Plus. Let's add it. It also has 1 million. It has reasoning context as well. And right now it's quite lively, and even the threads are faster for us. Here it's 40 tokens per second. Here it's 58. So you see the latency is lower at 0.87. So in some ways it's faster, and you can compare the price. Yeah, here it's, well, almost, let's say, 10 times cheaper for input, and accordingly for output, it's also significantly, let's say, cheaper, but there's a catch. First of all, well, its output token limit is 66,000 and the total is 1 million. Here the total is 1 million, but the output is 128. So it can output more at once. That means it doesn't need to split things up as often. But look, there's this important checkbox, caching, and this 𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗏 model in particular supports caching. And this Clawbot OpenCloud, it sends a lot of information with every request. I mean, the file is almost 24 kilobytes in size, which gets sent over there, and it transmits its state exactly as is, who it is, what it is, all sorts of prompts, its system prompts, its memory. Basically, it stuffs all this crap at the beginning of the prompt and then adds the context of what you asked it. So the top part is the same, and if it matches byte for byte, caching kicks in. I checked this myself. I use the raw API, the token from OpenAI. They also have caching. I connected 5.1 codecs, and I checked really caching works. It saves some money. But if we then run a comparison, for example, and add the same OpenAI codex here, first of all, it has less context, and it's also significantly more expensive. And I suggest adding 𝗗𝗦. Here's one of the newer models, 𝗗𝗦 K2.5. Moreover, they've just done an adaptation. I'll show you later. They already have 𝗗𝗦 Cloud available on their website. It's easy to deploy. It's specifically designed for OpenClaw, and everything sets up effortlessly. Yes, its context window is smaller, 262,000, but at the beginning, while you're still learning, I think that's quite sufficient. We used one bot with 𝗗𝗦. I'll show you later for what purpose, and it performed quite well, even better than expected. Compared to when we used OpenRouter in automatic mode. So there is an automatic mode for OpenRouter, and OpenClaw supports it as well. This means that depending on the context of the request, OpenRouter itself decides whether to send your request to Cloth, to 𝗗𝗏, to OpenAI, to Gemini Flash, to 𝗗𝗦, or somewhere else. It distributes everything automatically. Supposedly, the goal is to make it cheaper, but at the same time smarter. So if the task is complex, for example, related to programming, it will send it to Cloth. And will you get an immediate result there? A great result is implied. But in reality, it turned out that at first, you won't have that many super complex tasks. And it's easier to just use this 𝗗𝗦 2.5, which, if you look at the prices, is even cheaper. So most of your tokens will be input tokens. Sometimes it can send 200,000 tokens at once, specifically as input tokens. And in return, it will receive the remaining tokens, these 62,000 for the response. So literally in just 4 transactions, you'll reach 1 million. In other words, with 4 requests, you can get 1 million tokens. So it's actually pretty fast. And for every 4 requests, you'll be paying $1. But getting 1 million responses is very difficult because the ratio is almost 1 to 15, 1 to 20, and sometimes 1 to 10. So these $3 for a million, you'll be at it for a while. This is the model's response. Output is the model's response. The model's response is clear and concise. It's not that large in terms of context. It often ends up being smaller. But here you see back and forth, they have 262. So it can be both ways, but there's a total limit. That is no more than 262,000 in total. That's what this is about. But it also doesn't have caching, though it's basically the cheapest. You can also add more models here if you want. But if you compare right now, you could try this one as an option. This 𝗗𝗦𝗧 model is a bit slower. Here you see it's 16 tokens per second. If you want, right now, this just appeared recently. You see, this model was uploaded on February 15th. It just got added, so it's quite new. I'm recording this on the 18th, so this model appeared 3 days ago, and it's already being used quite a lot. In Sims, you'll see, look, there are already 1 billion prompts, 94 million, and for completion of reasoning, 52 million. So they're actively running it. It's currently in use and being tested. That's why you have the option to try it out with your bot if you're launching it now, or you can assign it a second model. There's such a possibility. You can go into the settings in the dashboard and simply specify a second model, or switch the main one to this and run some tests. Because you'll immediately notice that if you were using Claude, or like me, Codex from OpenAI, you'll see right away that you'll be paying several times less. For example, I literally ran the model on OpenAI 5.1 Codex for just 4 days, and that's not even the latest model yet. And in just 4 days, it ate up about $30 on absolutely simple tasks because it sends a lot of context there. I mean, these were really basic things. We weren't really programming anything or doing anything complicated. I was just talking to it. It connected to their social network. We wrote some simple scripts, and overall, it wasn't difficult, but it turned out to be expensive. Let's move on. There's this thing called the cloud. You've probably heard that in terms of security. It's already become a whole term, meaning you really have to keep an eye on it. There are vulnerabilities. By default, it's basically prompt ejected. So if it goes somewhere and picks up some prompt in response, or if someone throws it a prompt and swaps it out, it might execute it and give away all your keys. Because basically, for example, on Open Router with 𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗓 sends almost everything. And you can start loading it up there, and it will give you everything, and you are known. So the main rule is to use a clean machine for it, one that isn't yours. Yes, if you want to install it locally on a Mac or somewhere else, or use this VP server, and now there are plenty, I'll show you as well. Here they mentioned that, or use a special version. There is already a fork. It's called Secure OpenClaw from Compromise HQ. There's already a branch on GitHub and everywhere. You can download this pre-configured version directly. See, it's on GitHub, all these branches from Compromise. There were updates on February 11th, so you can dig into it if you know what you're doing. Just take a look yourself. What did we use it for? We wanted, well, really Polymarket has markets, and so there are a special site called Oracle's Run, where the data isn't synthetic, but actual markets from Polymarket are presented here. But this site works as an intermediary layer, and here you can train your own bots. So as you can see right now, they have a sandbox running. There isn't any real money here, so to speak. Here, real markets are connected. Right now, there are 7 markets. Before, there were 16. So they are constantly being updated. As you can see, there are already 12 active oracles here. They also drop out, join in, connect, and test. Here's the number of forecasts at the current moment. And here, all of these, you see the oracles are competing with each other. And among them, we connected and configured our own here. And they compete with each other, earn points, and basically practice making forecasts. And then accordingly, you can see how you are progressing, how your bot is performing when you connect it here. There is clear documentation here, which is specifically tailored for all these bots and has already been added here separately, as you can see. Authorization, API, and open cloud skills have all been added. So you can onboard with all of this here. That is, you literally give your bot a link to Oracle's Run docs, and it deploys this skill for itself, or it deploys it via GitHub, and it can already literally vote. Here, there, every 6 hours or 3, it's all set up automatically there. Here you can see all these formulas, how they vote, how they are trained on real markets. And then you just run it here. And then once you've trained it here, it becomes really good. And as for the points, there's a leaderboard right here, this one. The more points they get, the better. Its accuracy is measured by how close its prediction on Polymarket is to what it did here. So the closer the accuracy, these markets are kind of aggregated, summed up, and calculated once a day. In general, you can connect your bots here, run them on the markets, and these will be supplemented and added over time. You see, right now, they're all from Polymarket, but later they will be from Scala, Shy, and some other things. Plus, there might be something else interesting added as well. So if you want to play around with your bot and set it on some real task to see how effectively it performs on Polymarket, here's your chance. But don't go to Polymarket right away to vote with real money, or just run it somewhere on your own. First, test it quietly in the sandbox, then come to the platform and compare your bot with others. With these ones, see, they have an entire table of these oracles. Here are the oracle or points. See, here are these two, the most prominent ones. Oracle Lovable, apparently this site is made on Lovable. And then there's one with an auto forecaster. Here it is doing something as well. 26 different forecasts. They describe which market, which one. You see, what was the confidence there? What vote did it give? Well, in general, you can use your own agent here, so to speak, and play around further. Now, as for important news, Peter Steinberg, who came up with this project, was hired by OpenAI in mid-February. Just literally a couple of days ago, he moved over, and Sam Altman personally announced it. Sam announced that Peter will lead the development of the next generation of personal assistants and guides. So now OpenAI and its API will be very focused on this. For example, like how 𝗗𝗦𝗦 was made, everything is tailored, it's very easy to deploy, and they all work well with agents. The same way, OpenAI will also work very well with agents. Why is this happening? Because 𝗗𝗦𝗦 has a vision that in the near future, 80% of current mobile applications will disappear, since we will be communicating by voice. We'll be saying things like, book us tickets, do our shopping, or plan this or that for us, just like it was supposed to be with Siri. But Siri is a bit, well, dumb in this regard, whereas these agents will actually execute tasks precisely, meaning you connect the necessary credentials and it can do everything, even up to controlling your robots, your home vacuum cleaners. But all of this will be done through agents, and these agents will be everywhere, not just for individuals, but also for companies and businesses. So in other words, billions of agents. This has exploded so quickly right now. Why was he hired so quickly? Because this OpenClaw project is developing very rapidly. I don't even know anymore. There are already 1 million agents all over the world, and the number is growing exponentially. So what are the options? For example, buying a Mac Mini for $600,000 to $700,000 just to try it out is definitely not worth it. There are much simpler options. You come here, and as it says here, yes to install OpenClaw. All you need is any VPS that supports Docker and Node.js, so it can run everything there. Here are the prices, guys. Starting from like 100 rubles a month. Well, here's a good option. You see VDS Ninja or Hetzner or some other one? Go for it. Based on your needs, just to play around, a month will be enough for you, and you'll definitely understand whether you need it or not. If you realize you do, then you can always move everything to your own computer. And again, there's no need to rush out and buy yourself some fancy Mac Mini like with an M4 chip. For example, I installed it on my iMac with an M1 processor and 8 gigabytes of RAM, and that was enough basically, because we're not running anything heavy here. For Llama or some other local models, we mostly use the API, and that's enough for our tasks. So if you have some old Air with an M processor lying around, or maybe an iMac or something else, you can use those too, or even an old MacBook Pro. Maybe you can just take all of this and try it out. Now, regarding 𝗗𝗦𝗦, look, 𝗗𝗦𝗦 is also available, yes, and it's on Pan Router. They've released 𝗗𝗦𝗦 bot separately, so you can connect right here and transfer your current bot over to it. As you can see, for Critique Micro, you need to register. I won't show you, it's literally just a couple of clicks. Here you can deploy everything and configure it for your bot. Will everything work perfectly for you here? So the reason I'm recording this video is to show that there's nothing complicated. There are tons of settings, so however you configure and launch it, that's fine. What you need to understand first is what comes out of the box. You won't be able to just dictate things to it like that, because at first it's like a new employee you've just hired. It's honestly pretty dumb. Yes, it kind of knows everything. It has all the knowledge. It can program, but on its own, it doesn't come up with anything at all. Even though they say it's proactive, they have their own social network and tokens. They've come up with wallets and everything else under the sun, but it's all for nothing. So you'll either have to write prompts for it. For example, you stop this agent, then go, I don't know, to ChatGPT and write it a prompt. Something like, I want my bot to install something for me there. Like set up some server, do this, 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 and that. And here you have to write out a proper detailed prompt for GPT-5, a good one, damn it, and send it to it in the prompt, and then it starts acting. You need to start by organizing folders. For example, in Telegram, you create a channel for yourself, and in the channel, you create separate topics, like general, just for general chat, then your projects, reminders, I don't know, scribing, YouTube, then images, posters, sleep, bananas, something else. Yes, in our case, research, there you drop tweets, articles, it reads them, analyzes them, and replies to you right away. For example, when I was setting up a browser on my Mac, you either have to go to Brave, get an API, give it the API, and then it will access the internet through the API, or you have to bother setting it up so that it installs a virtual Chrome browser in its environment, configures it, and learns to use it. you add this as a skill, right? And there are a lot of these skills, but you don't need most of them at all. There are all sorts of sketchy ones, so you definitely shouldn't install everything. Start with the minimum, only add what you need. Gradually, if you need to manage emails, Google, and so on, there's a separate skill for email, for Google. You install it, give it credentials, set it up, and then it will start using it. There's a skill for everything. If you need to read PDFs, there's one for that too. You add all this little by little. In short, don't rush. Then there are advanced settings when you can add once you're already communicating with it. You can write to it from Telegram or WhatsApp. Please add this, press / usage and display the information about tokens for yourself. That is how many tokens it uses per session, so you can see how much you're running through. Let's say you made some request and suddenly 250,000 tokens are gone. You realize that if you do that 4 times, that's 1 million tokens. And you know your model, and you know 1 million can even be set up, I think. So it will show you the amount in dollars, how much each request costs you in dollars. There are a lot of fine-tuned settings there. You won't figure them all out right away, so don't add anything unnecessary. Don't set everything at once. Start gradually, and that's how you train it and create tasks for it. You also shouldn't rush with updates. For example, yesterday I ran into a situation where I updated its packages to the latest version. And something broke in it, and it started lagging from time to time, and it gets confused with reasoning. It fills up the entire context too much. Basically, it maxes it out. It fills almost the entire 250,000 token context, right? And from time to time, it crashes, and the model does not respond. Basically, it tries to push everything through the API. The model gets messed up. There is not enough space. It does not add something. And as a result, a normal response does not happen. A mistake is returned. I constantly have to reset the session so it clears the context, leaving the minimum. And when it is at the minimum, it makes 1 or 2 requests. The context fills up again, and it clogs the window once more. So you might run into this as well. Basically, something is broken with the roots there. I spent several hours on this yesterday. So the tool is fun, but if you think you can just start making money right away, like hey, let's go and rush to install all sorts of things, all that nonsense. It's just an outright scam. So either they'll try to hook you into some courses, or they'll push some unverified skill on you, which first and foremost will most likely try to. And again, Polymarket means cryptocurrency, which means you have MetaMask wallets. Maybe you've installed them on your computer. They'll be looking for your seed phrases, your private keys. In other words, they'll try to trick you somehow to steal your money. That's why nothing comes for free. No one is just going to give you an arbitrage bot like this with millions in profits. If it really existed, BlackRock would have already come and bought it. So guys, be super careful. Anything that sounds this sweet and free where someone claims they're sharing a secret like this is suspicious. They claim money is being printed here instantly. Be careful. Sometimes people write seemingly good things like, I installed 𝗗𝗦2 and how can you use it for free? If you install it directly on your computer, then you can pack everything into it yourself through Ulam. But for that, you need a powerful system, so it didn't work out for me. You see, my videos are 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 23 minutes long. I've already talked for almost 24 minutes, but I hope this video will at least help you in some way, that it will take off your rose-colored glasses. In reality, nothing is as easy as everyone tells you. Like, it's all simple, especially if you're not a programmer, especially if you've never worked with agents before, or if you haven't worked with automation tools like N8N or Make or something else, meaning you don't even understand what you need it for. You definitely don't need to buy anything or pay for anything. Just use the bare minimum. These APIs like OpenRouter, some of them cost $2 or even $200. The only thing I can suggest is if you use the OpenRouter API, I'm not sure if it will actually work. But if you're in Russia, Belarus, or one of about 10 other countries under sanctions, then it's better. Consider making sure your VPS has a built-in proxy somewhere in Europe or Kazakhstan, for example. In other words, somewhere these models aren't blocked, where you can use them like Hetzner or something similar, or at least so you can set up servers with some kind of proxy inside. So make sure you understand this. I'll pin all the useful links I mentioned below. I hope everything is clear to you and you understand that this isn't easy. And if you're interested in this topic and want us to invite a real specialist who understands the difference between cloud and code, the differences in these agents, security versions, where they're being used now, and where all this could develop to give you some guidance, we can hold a live stream where you can join and ask your questions directly. Because if you just leave a comment, I might see it, I might not, and I might not read it right away. But this way we can organize a live stream and together with you do some practical exercises and chat for an hour or an hour and a half, discuss how things work. All right, have a great day, everyone. Leave your comments, give likes or whatever, subscribe, do all those things. I even have a special gesture. Look, like this, bam, give a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In general, we talk about Web3, blockchains, cryptocurrencies, a lot of useful stuff. So I'd be glad to see you on our channel.